In the midst of our journey, we come to realize how it seems that everything falls into place in a perfect way in our lives. Even those moments when everything gets complicated and we go through the greatest trials. Everything seems to mesh in an exact way, as if the universe itself conspired for the benefit of our soul and each of the future events and destinies, even when we ourselves do not know what tomorrow holds. It's important for you to know that indeed everything happens this way because it is part of a greater plan orchestrated for the benefit of our soul and its refinement. However, this plan is not solely designed by the universe and dropped upon us. It is a journey that our own soul knows, and it has even chosen certain stations through which to pass. This is a premise conceived under the idea of prenatal planning, which has been one of the wonderful concepts explored by Dolores. In her experience as a therapist specializing in past life regressions, she delved into the concept in question. Thanks to her knowledge, today we can share insights into some of the things we planned and orchestrated before the day of our birth. So pay close attention to expand your understanding. Number 1. The decision to incarnate on Earth. The first decision we make before descending to this earthly plane is precisely to do so. Even though it may seem crazy, it stems from our own desire to incarnate. There is no imposition in this regard, but rather our descent is entirely voluntary. According to many scholars in the field, each soul consciously chooses to incarnate in a human body, as this is a unique experience among all that the vast universe offers and is considered by souls as one of the most valuable in terms of learning. Even though we may view our life on this plane as entirely ordinary, the truth is that there is no other place with such a perfect configuration for learning as the one that takes shape on Earth. Additionally, the physical form possessed by the human vessel allows for the experience of a wide range of emotions and sensations that other forms do not. Believe it or not, the act of incarnating as a man or a woman on this plane is a tempting idea for souls seeking growth and adding knowledge and wisdom to their repertoire, a primary desire for all souls. Despite your experiences on this plane with the people you encounter, the purest form of the soul desires growth, refinement, and the accumulation of wisdom, which is only possible through a unique spiritual and earthly path. Earth becomes a space where enriching experiences can be lived, adorned with sensations and challenges both externally and internally. In other worlds, with a higher vibrational level and prevailing higher values such as love and compassion, it is impossible to experience these moments with such intensity, diminishing the capacity to learn from them. While in many ways we continue to be a society and a somewhat undeveloped habitat, it is precisely this, coupled with the intensity of human emotions, that motivates souls to incarnate in human form. It is important to bear in mind that our unique way of feeling serves as a great incentive for those souls seeking growth through knowledge and experiences on their journey. As previously mentioned, it is necessary to emphasize that all souls seek this, but that does not mean they are envious of Earth. Each soul becomes aware of the dimensions of its journey, the challenges and complications that may arise amid it, and yet they decide if that is the destiny they desire. In fact, the soul of each one of us has chosen to come and fully experience this accumulation of emotions, experiences, and encounters that only humans have the capacity to feel. Perhaps hearing this brings to mind those facing great difficulties, trials that may seem impossible to conquer. But deep down, beyond their conscious side, their soul has always been ready for what is happening, feeling the ability to handle it all. The hardships we witness on this plane and the significant challenges some face are nothing more than catalysts to acquire knowledge and useful tools for our journey on Earth and for the greater purpose of our soul. Instead of feeling pity for some, we should understand that they are a reflection of what their soul has chosen to live, and the greater the challenge, the larger the reward that soul is obtaining. Issues like scarcity, pain, incurable diseases, All are significant additions to the soul's journey taking place, ultimately enhancing what is gained from that path. Rather than feeling a sense of sadness, we should applaud and honor that soul that has dared to take its journey to a higher level, emerging from it with greater knowledge and resilience than those who opt for a more tranquil life. When a soul descends to earth, it does so with a well-defined panorama, knowing it has the capacity to endure the life ahead. Moreover, it does so with the willingness to live each moment intensely and extract the maximum benefit in terms of knowledge and tools. Number 2. The good and the bad that will be encountered in its physical plane. As mentioned earlier, souls do not come to this world unaware of what they will experience. They are conscious of what they will live and the challenges they will face. However, they choose to do so as a necessary step for their evolution and refinement. All souls are engaged in a constant quest for growth, refinement, and evolution. As they dare to live more challenging experiences, they achieve greater progress. That's why many are drawn to the duality that can be experienced on Earth. Our world, unlike many others, has the unique quality of showcasing both the good and the bad in the universe. It not only sheds light, but also has its moments of darkness, where each individual's shadows and what is deemed incorrect are present. This exquisite contrast between good and bad provides a perfect panorama for souls. They can comprehend more about the goodness and the malice that exists on Earth and in the universe. We must understand that in other dimensions and realms, things are not as harsh as they are here. Love, cooperation, and infinite compassion usually prevail in those spaces, leaving little room to understand the malicious nature that some possess. Even living through very sad experiences can end up being a moment of learning and refinement for the soul going through it. Although on a terrestrial plane, it may feel the impact and even seem to break, deep within its being, beyond known logical thought, that soul is acquiring profound knowledge and a valuable lesson for its growth. The way even the negative aspects take on utility and a positive factor in each of our lives is breathtaking. While we are accustomed, from this limited perspective, to complaining about complex situations, at a higher level of consciousness, our soul is capable of blessing and appreciating those moments. As we consciously develop acceptance of both the good and the bad in life, our soul benefits even more. In a beautiful way, we are beginning to contribute to the purpose for which our soul descended here. While it is true that we all come here for the rich learning that this human experience offers, it's also important to note that each one of us has a life mission, which is also enhanced by those dark points along the journey. Just as light is necessary to nourish our soul and imbue us with positive and beautiful energies, darkness is also a necessary factor in our existence. From it, we develop capacities that are not possible to cultivate solely from positive experiences. Let's think objectively for a moment and be honest in evaluating how it would be possible for a being to develop a high degree of resilience and adaptability without encountering negative things. If a soul is not confronted with the negativity present in the world, along with sadness and other implicit emotions, it will never be able to develop that resistance to the negative. Accepting and embracing this duality in things makes the journey of our soul more manageable and conducive to fully enjoying the human experience it longed for. It also helps fulfill its purpose for descending to Earth more effectively. Embracing sadness, anxiety, pessimism, and knowing how to manage them appropriately to transform them into something positive is what can truly make a difference in our journey. It's one of those lessons our soul seeks to learn. We shouldn't see everything that happens to us as the worst that could happen, because that same pain and shadows emanating from complex events ultimately make the entire journey worthwhile. It's because we lived intensely and experienced everything a human body can. Number 3. Our family and friends. Another thing our soul takes care to plan before descending to Earth is how its life will be structured in terms of blood and emotional relationships. In this elaborate plan, each of those other souls with whom we will be accompanied and interacted with plays a significant role. Even if you believe there are people who are simply a waste in your life, they also have a purpose and a role for you. No matter how negative the connection may be, there are greater reasons behind their gathering. Even the people who have deeply hurt you and seemingly taken away from you all end up having incredible value in the midst of our journey, and the best part is that our being knows it because it agreed to it and allowed it. Our soul not only envisions the kind of life it will live and works on itself, but also allows that person to enter the environment it will inhabit and contribute a bit of their energetic load to the space. Often we become accustomed to how toxic people come, hurt, and leave, and the other party is left in sadness, feeling that they have been diminished. However, they have truly added to our soul, knowledge, abilities, and tools that we would never have without that specific being. Relationships, friendships, and mere acquaintances end up shaping the amount of lessons and wisdom our soul receives from other souls and their interactions during these incarnations. Our growth depends, in some stretches, on the company we allow into our lives and the challenges they confront us with. Each event that takes place between these souls becomes a beautiful source of knowledge and well-being for us. Although we often choose to complain about our experiences in love, friendship, and other forms of relationships, deep within us, we recognize the energy of that particular soul and how it helps us refine ourselves. But it's not just about the way we end up relating through friendship and camaraderie. Our soul has also agreed to the members of the physical family we will have. Each family member has a purpose and an energy they must share with us, fulfilling a very specific function in the midst of our journey. And, although we may not understand it on a conscious level, we must recognize that we arranged it this way long before birth. Family is perhaps one of the most relevant aspects to address, because from something as simple as taking care of a family member, we can become involved in an energetic and knowledge exchange beneficial for both souls. All these interactions were previously consented to by our soul, which recognizes and smiles at those family members who will embrace our process and help us flow better. It's not just about the growth of our soul and its purpose in descending to earth. We must also see that these family members play an important role in the earthly purpose that these souls have. The souls accompanying us as family and friends are significant individuals who come not only to provide companionship, but also to bring lessons, challenges, and trials. They have the ability to confront you with everything that, in one way or another, hinders your spiritual growth. No one ends up being a mere coincidence in our lives. Everyone and everything is part of a greater plan, one in which we ourselves were active subjects in choosing, designing, and projecting. Number 4, the challenges you will face and the achievements you will reap. In the same way we've discussed that before descending and incarnating into a physical body, our soul knows perfectly well what will happen. It also has a clear direction. It's the soul that decides where it will go and what challenges it will face, carefully selecting what it wants to experience from a physical body. Although we often doubt our abilities to face certain aspects of life, the truth is that undoubtedly we have the necessary strength to overcome every impasse. This is because our soul has taken on the challenge long before the situation presented itself. The way our birth was orchestrated is astounding, and goes so far as to determine the kind of events we want to experience, whether positive or negative, all pre-selected according to our soul and the capacities and strength it possesses. In the midst of this magical plan, nothing has been left out. Everything was meticulously calculated before our arrival on this earthly plane. We are by no means passive subjects in this matter. We are the architects who have shaped the path we traverse. Carefully, we ourselves constructed the skyscraper of emotions we wish to experience because, as we know, our human body can make souls experience a range of emotions like no other body can. We must understand that every time we face physical discomfort or an overwhelming feeling of sadness, despair, anger, or any other emotion, we should recognize that our soul has chosen it to be so. It's necessary for the soul to experience and learn to manage these emotions, fulfilling the journey it designed and achieving refinement while moving to the next station in our soul's journey. Our worst moments are not merely the product of bad luck or a form in which the universe and our Creator express dislike or hatred for some aspect of us. These feelings haven't been imposed on our lives. Rather, they're a product of our own choices and the challenges we desire to face. It's crucial to understand that nothing in our life has been imposed. Everything has been part of a conscious choice made by our soul, leading to a lesson, knowledge, or acquired skill. Even the most painful experiences are part of what we must undergo because those moments of cruelty and sadness mark a new challenge overcome, accumulating concrete points in our lives and signifying progress in our process. Let's view these moments like fire shaping and molding metal into something incredible and useful. In the same way, we chose to be like iron, knowing that before reaching that point, we would have to endure harsh blows. Each point in our life is another station leading to the transformation of our being. Instead of making us harder, uglier, or sadder, all these challenges we chose only aim to turn us into perfect works of art, souls with a high level of consciousness and wisdom, fulfilling their purpose, impacting the lives of others, and ultimately influencing humanity as a whole. According to Dolores and some other experts in the field, it is crucial that we learn to see these moments in our lives as necessary points that will serve as catalysts for our being. Each experience catalyzes the development of our soul. We must embrace the moment, live intensely the emotions it carries, and discover the underlying lesson, because only from that perspective will we access a balance and a state that allows us to walk with greater confidence and faith in our being and its capabilities. Just as we embrace the difficult moments, we must understand that the good points, moments of joy, and all achievements are also conscious choices of our soul. It seeks to experience everything behind the happiness of what we obtain. Although many may choose to downplay these moments and treat them as just another instance, the most beneficial approach for our souls is to take them and dare to live them to the fullest. Let's not restrain our emotions. Let them flow freely and immerse ourselves, as that is what our soul descended to seek in this plane. Number 5. The work and the growth journey we must undergo until ascension. Remember that everything orchestrated for our life has a primary objective: to enable our soul to ascend to a new level of consciousness and well-being. Everything lived and chosen should only contribute to this goal. However, the way we move from one station to another and all that we work on within ourselves is a product of our determination, and those aspects of ourselves that our soul knows it must work on. Before descending to this physical plane and incarnating in our body, our soul decides what it will go through to evolve spiritually, taking all those aspects it deems necessary to work on and channeling them through experiences. Those experiences and turning points that we know and live are nothing more than the path that our soul has drawn for us to overcome different internal challenges and refine ourselves, as a result of which we will achieve ascension to a higher level of consciousness. Reaching a new level of consciousness implies that we can access a greater load of wisdom and better spaces to inhabit, because that's when we leave behind the earthly and manage to move towards a more spiritual realm. Nothing escapes the planning that took place before we arrived in this world, and every minute detail we need to work on was discovered even before it generated and manifested in our journey in the world. The universe provides unique opportunities for soul growth, and it is up to the soul to seize them. Along with the energies of the universe, souls end up detailing every small step necessary in pursuit of their objectives. Many focus on life as a path to acquiring physical possessions, power, and other earthly benefits that hold importance in the material world. However, deep within ourselves, we are aiming for higher objectives, Everything we go through is nothing more than a necessary earthly experience. What we manage to accumulate on this plane is merely a projection of earthly desires. The true essence lies in a more spiritual realm. This is simply an earthly experience aimed at assisting us in our true internal process, one associated with our soul, its ascension, and evolution. When we choose to take the physical as everything in our lives, we end up deviating from the path we truly should follow. However, even those detours are part of the plan because no one can find the truth of their being without getting a little lost in the process. The way we deviate from our true purpose should be considered a necessary journey for the soul to truly understand everything it is seeking from the depths of itself. When we arrive on this plane, we are not consciously aware of our purpose. Although it is already outlined, it doesn't enter our conscious mind. We simply do not have that information at the moment. We start this journey from scratch. As we progress, we manage to unravel all the hidden points in our journey. Many people often say that life is a journey of self-discovery, and indeed it is. We come here with many issues to address, and many points hidden deep within ourselves. It is only as we advance that we gradually unveil them one by one. Part of the wonder life offers and an incarnation on this earthly plane is precisely the ability to discern the superficial way. Achievements, challenges, and all the experiences of our lives are presented to us, and discover that, at the core, their significance is much greater and more valuable. Our life is directed towards addressing and perfecting every small aspect internally, and everything aimed at doing so is simply a choice of our soul from a remote time, even before our birth. Number 6. How we will heal karma. Karma is a broad and intimidating concept for many, but this is due to the way these same people navigate through life. We must remember that this part of our existence is nothing more than the way we pay for our own actions. Karma simply tells us that all our actions will end up having consequences of the same kind. In other words, the positivity or negativity of our actions will determine what we receive in return. We will never get different results. We cannot receive something different from what we give. Many people fall into this law of consequence without even realizing it, because they believe their actions do not harm anyone. The reality is that we are all connected in one way or another, so every small action not only leads to consequences for ourselves, but also for others. The way everything and everyone is connected is something marvelous, but many ignore or have it at a more unconscious level. This is why they go through life with a stumbling walk that sooner or later generates consequences and ends up hitting them back. Absolutely everyone knows the quality that energy has of not being destroyed. On the contrary, energy ends up transforming and giving way to something else but of the same kind. This is precisely what happens with our actions, which represent energies that do not end once we perform the act but go out into the universe, charge up, and return to us as a powerful blow. Karma may not manifest itself to you as an action identical to what you have done, but it will end up being similar and generating the same discomfort that your actions initially caused in the other person. In the midst of our lives, it is extremely important to evaluate each of the actions we take, as well as those events that end up being repetitive in our lives, because these can come loaded with karma and a necessary lesson that we must assimilate for the well-being of our soul. Dolores Cannon spoke about karma and its relationship with the journey of souls, because the theme of cause and effect is so powerful that it transcends even the current life and can carry that energy until we manage to rectify the harm we have caused. No one can simply act against another person or a group and expect not to have consequences, because these are implicit, just as with good deeds, also with evil acts that demonstrate the worst part of our being. According to Dolores Cannon, karma can be carried over from our previous incarnations, meaning we may be experiencing karma for actions from past lives that could not be returned in energy at the time. Without reasons or a logical explanation for those who suffer it, karma comes to do its job in this incarnation. In her countless sessions with patients undergoing past life regression therapy, this researcher found evidence that events from the past ended up marking repetitive events in the current lives of her patients, causing them to suffer without understanding what was at the root of it. Beyond this incredible ability that karma has to pursue us, this is a topic that needs to be healed, and to redress the damage caused so that the natural balance is restored. This is something that our soul understands perfectly, and that's why, before coming down to earth, it chooses how that karma will be treated, how that earthly incarnation of its being will restore the imbalance it generates, and in this way, learn and internalize the subject of actions and their consequences. Even the way we pay for our karma has been carefully designed, adapting perfectly to our being and our learning needs. Number 7. The number of incarnations one will have on earth. According to what Dolores described, her research allowed her to discover how our souls not only choose how they will live, the challenges they will face, and even the people who will accompany them on this journey, but this process of prenatal planning extends to delimiting the number of lives we will have on earth. We must remember that each soul is individual, and despite being connected with others who inhabit here, it has specific objectives and goals that are very personal, from which it has projected its journey in this plane. This ability to recognize the points it wants to address and plan how it will approach them is so wonderful that it extends to its ability to make a projection of how many incarnations it will take to heal or acquire the knowledge it seeks. In other points, we have already commented on the incredible ability of souls, but it's points like these that end up leaving more than one person astonished because they underestimate their being or think that what they plan cannot be so exact and perfect. That's where most people go wrong, because what we're experiencing is so precise and personalized that it seems that not even the smallest detail has been overlooked. Our lives should be seen as a precisely timed and perfectly designed learning plan for the achievement of our goals, as well as the fulfillment of the mission that this soul has set for itself on the earthly plane. Depending on the level of knowledge or skills that soul seeks to develop, it will be the number of lives it must go through in this plane, so there is really no minimum or maximum number of lives and incarnations. If the objectives that the soul pursues are simpler and more specific, it will choose to design a more precise experience that requires a smaller number of incarnations on Earth, where experiences and turning points are very specific. On the other hand, if the accumulation of knowledge, experiences, and tools that the soul seeks for its evolution is greater, it may choose to go through a larger number of incarnations in which the events it undergoes are more varied, and each of them aims to solidify an aspect of our being necessary for the next aspect we seek to perfect. The list of objectives for our souls can be very extensive or very simple. Everything depends on their desire for evolution and how much or little they want to experience amid the wide range of possibilities that this dimension and physical space offer them. If we take a moment to analyze the multitude of things we can experience in our journey on Earth, we can understand that the possibilities are practically infinite, and this list is what souls have access to when they decide to descend to our plane. There is not a single thing that we cannot use to our advantage. Each of these infinite possibilities contains valuable knowledge and an important lesson for our souls. Each of the lives we live here will inevitably go hand in hand with the next, but we say this in the sense that the lessons encountered in one life will inevitably lead to those we will face in the next life. Absolutely, all the tools we have acquired are necessary for the next stage that awaits us in the midst of our journey, and even moments of suffering develop skills necessary for the evolution of our soul and the integral development of our being. As it is always mentioned, nothing is random. Everything is part of a greater plan, and each part of our life, as well as each of the lives we live, is connected to the next level, and so on until our person and our soul achieve everything they have set out to do. It is also important to understand that each of us has a predetermined time to inhabit and depart from Earth. Each life is an experience designed to reach its end, and the number of lives and experiences is exact. There will be neither one more nor one less. No one can, through their actions, shorten or hinder the life and development of another. We cannot extend this time, no matter how much we desire it. It is part of our journey and the planning that accompanies it. If all of this has impressed you, and you truly feel that there is a way in which everything was planned for you, I would like you to tell me in the comments and help me choose the next topic we will address. If you have found this small space where we share knowledge useful, let me know with a like. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that we can continue to meet and share knowledge. The infinite knowledge that our universe has to offer is right there, just a step away from us. And every new point of wisdom I acquire will be one that I share with you. So, don't miss our next edition. Until then, I send you blessings.